What's going on, family? Welcome back to the Speakeasy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. As you know, my name's Ant.
J Hard from the block. Y'all already know.
I'm Ty.
Mike.
Yo. So we've been on, this kind of series of conversations as all who have been tuning in, our Speakeasy family. As you know, we've been having conversations around manhood, our path to manhood, our path to maturity as a man. And one of the things that I think is really important for us to have a conversation around is accountability. If you're ever going to be a mature man, you are going to have to learn to be accountable. Accountable to yourself, accountable for your actions, accountable with your peers, accountable with your woman if you choose to have one, right? Like, it's really important that you're accountable. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you guys, just to start off the conversation, is what are the challenges that you had with learning to be accountable?
That's a great question.
That's a good one.
What are some of the challenges you had growing up? I don't care what age you want to start, that you had learning to be accountable, and how'd you overcome it?
Yeah. I mean, shoot, you want to start, Mike?
You got it.
You good? All right. So look. So I mean, when I really started learning the concept of accountability, of course, it was with you, and that was right when I was in my senior year of high school. And I think one of the challenges for me was that, and you was a little unorthodox and different at that point.
Yeah, man, I was 21.
Ant wanted to check my phone and stuff. It was just.
Can we talk about this story? No, wait. Okay, let me hear me out. Okay. You have to understand the context of Josh and I's relationship now is different from back then.
Yes.
Back then, I was Josh's youth leader, and I had a group of young men that I was mentoring. Yeah. And this is so funny, right? I was 21, learning how to figure out how to hold young men accountable from a church perspective. Yeah. It was just difficult. Yeah. It was one day we all had I had all of my mentees have this necklace thing on. Mm-hmm. And it meant something. If you had this necklace, you were a part of the small group. Okay. And I remember asking Josh, because something that happened when everybody was all right, let me show you my phone, just let you know nothing crazy happened, right? Just so that we all knew everybody was being honest, everybody was contributing to our culture, etc. I was 21, guys. I probably would do it the same now, but I had asked Josh for his phone, and he was just no.
Yeah, that was a dub.
I was just bro. I was let me see everybody. You know what I'm saying? I was let me see. He was just no, bro.
Facts.
And I was bro, you know what that necklace mean, right? He was just no. Yeah, Josh was absolutely not having it.
I was good on it, and the thing about it for me was I was a little triggered because my dad's wife, she's amazing, but she really in terms of discipline and just kind of holding us accountable in the house, she would do phone checks. You know what I mean? So it's she was trying to see what was going on. It's nigga, I'm in high school.
Right.
I'm clearly talking some talk. You know what I mean? I'm clearly doing some things I'm doing as a teenager. So it's when he was let me see your phone, I'm bruh, no, we not finna do that. You not my mama. In my mind, that's what I'm thinking. But just to skip past that funny story, it's my initial experience with it was it was a little bit you're just trying to see what's wrong with me, or you're just trying to see the bad parts of my life and say and try to help me on these parts, but it's I don't want help. I know what's going on my phone, and I'm good with what's going on in my phones. I don't need you to say nothing about it, Right. And so, and especially when you're thinking about a youth leader at church, it's they're gonna have a perspective about what you're doing that ain't gonna be the same, necessarily where you want to go.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So it's my first encounter with it was just bro, I'm not finna do that, but I eventually got to a point with building trust and relationship with Anthony where it was nah, I want you to know what's going on because you actually have given me really good counsel. I remember the first time that we had a deeper conversation when I was just started sharing stuff with you randomly, just stuff that was going on in my life. It was at that point for me, I had already spent like a substantial amount of time with you where it's like, bro, like I can really tell that you care about me and you love me for real. And so I just sharing it came natural, you know. It came natural to like just start sharing things that even at the moment I wouldn't have known was an issue or a perspective that was wrong. I was just kind of just sharing off of my experiences, and he said some things that were just wise and that was just from a healthy place that I wasn't necessarily in. And experiencing that set the groundwork for me understanding like how much accountability and understanding the wisdom and the safety that comes from that impacts my life. And it's going to impact how I grow moving forward. And so, that was my first experience with it and getting comfortable with it. And I just leave it at that.
No, that's huge. And please, someone remind me.
Yeah.
I think I want to come back to a piece of the conversation just based off what you said, like how to build trust in order to hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
I think is a huge part of peer accountability.
For sure.
But anyway, challenges that you face, learning how to be accountable, how'd you overcome it?
Yeah. So I'll start with the first real moment that I had of really holding myself accountable, which may sound funny to some people, but it was really with my now wife. Because growing up, man, like I don't want it to sound terrible, but as I look back on it, like I was never really held accountable because I felt like I was fortunate to just live a good life growing up. Just to be totally honest, I had my mom, but also she did a lot for us. Like it's funny, like I be talking to my cousin sometimes. He was like, "Man, y'all mom did everything for y'all."
Yeah.
So I didn't have a reason to be accountable for certain things, but just being a kid growing up.
Yeah,
just to be totally honest, right?
Yeah,
just childhood. But even in college, it's just like college was just felt like Saturday every day. Just to be honest, like being held accountable, like crossing a fraternity. I mean, you had to put work in, but like I'm talking about real life accountable. Where I'm like, okay, these are actions that I need to kind of start taking account for as a man. But it was with my now wife, man. Like we was dating, and some people may have heard the story, but I used to be like I guess childish in a way, right? Or just young, put it like that. And it was a time where it was just like, hey, I'm like, all right, look, I'm about to just break up with you, right? But because I thought that was just something that you did when you got mad, and she was like, you're not gonna do this to me. Like I'm a woman, right? Like she was like, you either gonna choose to be with me or you're not gonna choose to be with me. So from that,
shout out to Zach,
right?
I love Zach.
Yeah. So she was like,
I love Zach.
Yeah.
So I had to let that joint resonate, and like that joint really sat with me. I'm like, damn. So like because I've never been like spoken to like that by a woman before. Yeah. So I guess to answer your direct question, what was the challenge of that? The challenge was facing reality. Nigga, you childish.
Yeah.
Nigga, you young. You gotta I had to look myself in the mirror and be like, all right, bro, like what you gonna do?
Yeah.
And that's not easy as a man, right? Like that's what I'm realizing. Okay, like you gotta like step up to the plate, and you got a woman right here. Are you gonna fumble this, or are you gonna figure out, okay, like what ways can I mature in my life? What ways can I be more accountable so she can see like, okay, I see you actually or it's taking steps forward in this area to be held accountable. And also the challenge with that is it also exposed other areas in my life that I may have not been as accountable in that I had to start stepping up with. So just from and
relationships will do that.
Exactly, bro. Sure. And like now that I'm thinking about this as I'm talking out loud, it's just like thinking about the value of and Tyler, like we said this on previous episodes. Y'all keep tapping in to see my boy Tyler preacher, but it's just like like choosing the right woman is so pivotal.
Yeah,
and it's just like, but this is just a glimpse of showing like, all right, man, like in all these other ways in my life, I started being more accountable. But that was a challenge, and that's kind of how that happened. This was back in 2016. That's huge,
right? The right relationship is like a mirror.
Yes, bro.
Right? They will reveal things about you, and but you also have the option to then look at said mirror or look away from said mirror and continue on your toxic traits. Because you had previous relationships before, Zach. You just would, if something happened, we break it up.
Exactly.
And I know in about a week we'll get back together and we'll just be on and off, and off. And she just like, you ain't about to put my heart through a roller coaster just because you toxic. It's because you immature, which I think is powerful,
it was
man.
Great, man. It was great.
Yeah. How about you, Ty?
Yeah.
The challenge for me with accountability, when I really first experienced, like I always knew what accountability was, but I had never really experienced what real accountability was until I moved here. And I was around y'all all the time. And the thing that helped me overcome like a lack of trust, and I guess the thing that helped me overcome not wanting to listen to any of y'all's feedback was just the fact that we really lived life together every day. Like I was around y'all every single day.
Yeah, we were really young,
Yeah, and after enough time had gone by, it was like, yeah, these are my brothers.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I learned the most was that it's actually really healthy for the right people to know my business.
Yeah.
And so what I learned when I moved here was there's two things that can happen. You can either not want to have accountability and you can live your life in isolation. And that is actually where dysfunction manifests and actually grows. Or you can allow people to see the parts of you that need work and need help. But the flip side of that is you could be around the wrong people that learn your business. And that just amplifies it as well and makes everything worse. But I've been blessed to be around the right people.
Right.
To know my business. And there's a health in that. And so I think, for me, my personal experience was, how I overcame that was just being in constant relationship with you guys.
Yeah, I that's really huge, because one thing I want to kind of bring together is, I know we kind of glanced over that little funny story with Josh and I and the necklace and the let me see your phone. I think what's really powerful that you guys also pointed out was the trust that was built that then naturally gave you like the space to open up about your business, to want to share about your business, to find the trust, right? And there's the trying to force somebody into telling you their stuff versus building the relationship that then allows them and makes a safe space for them to share their stuff. And I think that's a really important distinction, right? Like there are sometimes you can be like, you can even be in a romantic relationship with somebody and you're just like, well, you don't tell me everything. You don't tell me what's going on. You don't. And it's just like, well, have we created the space in which it is, one, safe and two, comfortable and worth my time to share said business? And I also think what's a really interesting, Ty, is like you shared like we were together all the time when we were together all the time. But I do want to also make the distinction, like you could be together all the time and it just be y'all shooting the like not doing nothing, like talking about nothing, and that won't necessarily create the space to share your business, especially if some of the business I want to talk about, you joke about,
Oh yeah, that's around the wrong people.
That's a fact.
Around the wrong people, and not being intentional about what you're talking about when you are together. Of course, you don't always have a deep conversation with your friends, right? You want to have a good time, but being intentional about like, yo, like if that culture is going to be created, like somebody has to start it.
Right. And I think it's also like we have to highlight like the reason why accountability for us is pivotal is because we're going somewhere. We're trying to be a better version of ourselves than we are today. And so it's like it's going to be easy for your circle and your friends to continue to just shoot the shit and not talk about nothing if y'all not trying to do nothing. You know what I mean? If you're not going nowhere, if y'all don't have a goal collectively, like, yo, this is where we want to be. You know what I mean? This is how I want to be as a person. These are the things that I want to do. You know, and honestly, if we being real, there's a lot of dudes who do share what they want to do and things that they want to do. But as friends, a lot of dudes don't know how to help hold their bro accountable to doing that thing, to like staying in that lane. I remember I was just talking to my cousin this week, and it was so funny because she was talking about how her friend is so talented in all these different areas, and like she has pursued nail school, but like now she's like being like this big fitness trainer, you know. But now that fitness is a little like and for her, she's doing makeup, and it's like she just feels like if she focuses in on one thing that she really loves, like she'll really be successful in that thing. And one of the things about my cousin is like she focuses in on one thing that she really loves, and she's thriving in that. And so it's like a lot of men don't know how to help, you know, their circle hone in on that one thing, hone in on like what they said they want to do. A lot of times we hear, we like, yo, bro, like that's what's up. But we don't ever follow up on it. We don't ever see how they doing. We don't ever see like, yo, how are you working towards it? You know, we get together and we have a good time again, you know, but it's never like, how are you still trying to win in this area? How are you still pursuing, you know, this that you said you wanted to do?
Right. Which is a piece of accountability in of itself.
Yes.
Right.
Telling your brother, you don't stick to nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Facts.
Right.
You give up on stuff way too soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you don't see results quickly.
Yeah.
You,
Right.
you leave from it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's accountability in of itself. And how many of us are comfortable having a conversation with each other about, yo, you don't stick to nothing.
Yeah.
Not a lot of us.
And I think when it comes to our dynamic specifically,
Yeah.
I do think we all are willing to be held accountable because we all do want to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think that the other side of that is we also want to be held accountable because if you're someone who can't be held accountable and does not listen to sound advice, like you have that relationship to lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, one of the biggest things is that we have built a relationship amongst ourselves that I value so much.
Yeah.
That one of my stances is I'm not willing to lose that.
Yeah.
And so when you guys come to me with advice, I do my best to listen.
Yeah.
And I think there's an unspoken culture that we have amongst each other where we all know we all have permission to give advice to each other.
For sure.
Yeah.
We all have given each other the permission to call each other out on our bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily need to wait
Yeah.
for somebody's permission.
Yeah.
If you're on bullshit, then you're gonna get called out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, obviously, of course, I wanna be better and I wanna go somewhere, and I believe it's gonna take a strong group of brothers around me to help me get there. But at the same time, it's like, dude, I could only imagine if I was somebody that just doesn't listen to my brother's advice all the time. Well, then you'd have to think, well, then you have that relationship with your brothers to lose.
Yeah.
And I can't lose that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. What was your challenge, and when did you first identify?
That's really good. I was so into this conversation.
Oh, that's right.
I
Yeah,
really
sure,
almost
bro.
did. I was, bro. Okay. Anyway.
'Cause I was about to say something
speak
else, but
up,
I'm
bro.
just like, I want to hear yours before.
No,
before I say
honestly, bro, I
something else.
forgot to share mine. For me, growing up, right, when I was a teenager, I thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
Like I just
You think that changed?
right. What changed is now I actually do. No, that's fine. No, when I was a teenager, like I thought I just knew everything, and I talked a lot about me having a mentor growing up. Paul Miller was phenomenal, and I went through a season of like, bro, like, just sit there and like shut up.
Yeah.
Like, just sit down and listen. Right? Don't say anything. Don't try to chime in into grown folks' conversation or like people who are far more mature. Don't try to chime in. Sit down and listen.
Right.
And I went through a season of learning to just sit down, shut up, and listen. And so that when I finally walked into maturity, that when I did have something to say, it had some substance.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't I wasn't regurgitating something I heard from someone else.
Yeah.
It was coming from a place of actual knowledge because I sat under wisdom. I read, I learned from myself.
Yeah.
And I was able to pull from my own experience and the wisdom that I've learned to give something of substance.
Right.
And so while I was 21 and still learning and figured out when we met, but I still had something to give because I went through a season of, bro, can you sit down and shut up? And there's still people that I'm around that I sit down and I shut my mouth.
For sure.
When we're around Pop, right? PA, right?
Oh yeah, we don't talk.
I remember like first, right?
Yeah.
And PA, like first she used to be like, she used to say around like me and everybody, she's like, Anthony's so quiet. Like he's such a quiet kid. Like he's such a quiet dude. And they will all laugh because they're like, Anthony's quiet. The reason why she thought that is because every time I was around, I would sit down, shut up, and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't because I didn't want to just learn what you said.
Right.
I wanted to learn the heart behind it.
Right.
Like I wanted to know who you became, how you got to that place.
Right.
And I wanted to then map up my journey to get there as well. That was important for me. Accountability. A lot of how I'm accountable is I self-correct before somebody has to correct me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that took me like I would listen to what someone's saying, and I'd be like, oh my God, I don't do that right. And I'll be self-correcting internally.
Yeah.
That's why I'm quiet. And when I'm quiet, it's not just I'm sitting there.
Right.
Oh, no, is that offensive? I don't sit there. Maybe we might need to cut that. Regardless, like I don't sit there. Right? You see what I'm saying? I typically self-correct before ever saying something stupid.
Right.
And when I'm sitting under wisdom, I'm self-correcting and changing my behavior and changing who I am while someone's talking.
Yeah.
Right.
But Paul used to be ruthless. Like, yeah, bro, that was stupid. Like that was just not smart. Like, why are you saying that? Like, and then man, you guys know Pastor Manny Rango. He was really ruthless.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, y'all got Manny, but I got Manny in a way that was like, it was pretty darn bad. He was freshly married, so he was still kind of single jerk Manny, okay? And he used to have really hard conversations with me about my own pride, which is a hurdle, which was probably my main hurdle in being accountable.
Facts.
Because that and think you know everything is pride.
Yeah.
And if you're able to really overcome pride, I think you've taken the biggest jump towards maturity and being able to receive accountability.
For sure. And I think that's even in the defensiveness of accountability. You know, even speaking for myself, it's like I know 99.9% of the time, 100% of the time, if I'm being defensive in that moment, it's because I'm being prideful.
Yep.
You know, I'm already, because it is just a natural, just human nature response to just be like, no, you're wrong about this. If you're trying to call out something that I need to work on, it's like, well, how can I prove to you that I don't really need to work on this? Or like I actually am, you know, at the level I need to be at already. So you don't really got nothing to say. You know, and I think breaking down that pride, you know, that's something that I still work on, of course, you know, and it's so funny because, you know, every single time, especially in our circle, it's like, I know every single time you're not saying this just to say it.
Right.
You wouldn't say it at all if you didn't care. Right. So you love me, one. You definitely think that this is worth saying to really like elevate my life.
Right.
And you're saying this for me. You're not saying this for you. You're not saying this out of some insecurity that you have, that you just want to put me down or say something that's gonna make you know, pump me up. Right. But it's like, you know, and so it's just funny how it's like we do have that trust. And I still deal with the pride in those situations of not being defensive and actually just, you know, just laying down my guard and saying, yo, I'm listening to what you're saying. Right. You know, and I'm willing to hear what you're saying and not be offended by it and understand, okay, how can I take what you're saying and actually start to improve in this area? Right. Versus being defensive and being prideful in that moment and just thinking that, you know, you're just trying to make me feel bad, you know, because... It's a withdrawal, right?
Yeah.
That it sucks. it sucks to hear things about yourself that you need to work on. It's
Yeah.
never. It's like I don't think I'm going to get to a point in my life where it's not going to suck. And I honestly think God designed it that way, bro. I think it's supposed to feel a little like a little piece of you is like, you know. I'll try to mix my words.
You afraid?
Somebody's getting ready. I'm looking at faces right now, like say that pause, bro. Say it, bro. Especially Mike. But it's like, you know, it's just understanding, like, bro, this is going to help you.
Yeah.
And it is okay if it sucks in a moment, but it's going to help you. And so that's why at the end of the day, even when I have been defensive, I've gotten over myself and like actually listen at the end of it.
Yeah. Which I think is huge, right? I think it's one thing you pointed out. I think it's really important, Josh.
Yeah.
Is just because you have the relationship doesn't make it like not hard,
right?
Or maybe not any less hard, right? It's just difficult. It's a difficult conversation to have when someone is telling you about.
I think
yourself.
it actually makes it more difficult coming from someone you have a close relationship with.
Yeah, I mean,
it makes it more difficult.
It can, and you just have to make a conscious decision to go, wait. It's like self-check, like I was saying, having those self-checks. Wait, I'm being prideful. Why do I feel this way? Like I would do that while someone's confronting me.
Yeah.
Like I'm dealing with the feelings, and before I'm defensive, I'm self-correcting.
Right.
Why do I feel this way? Don't be defensive. Listen to understand, not listen to respond.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the conversations I'm having with myself while you're talking to me.
Right.
Which I think is really, really, really important.
Right.
And another thing is, you don't want to be the friend that's not worth talking to.
Right.
Oh my God.
You don't.
And I think to be fair, everybody deals with that to some degree.
Yeah.
A level of pride when you're getting corrected.
Yeah.
So if we could just address what pride really just is, it's insecurity.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Pride is always about I.
Yeah.
Insecurity is always about I.
Yeah.
Pride is insecurity.
Yeah.
And for me, my personal journey with being corrected when I have had pride was I had a stance of, well, I know better than everybody else. Everybody's stupid and I'm not.
Yeah.
But when you get corrected and you have to change, now it's you feel stupid because you have to get corrected.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get corrected.
Yeah.
So you refuse to get corrected because you're going to die on that hill. That's insecurity. Maturity comes in when you're willing to admit, no, I did something wrong. You're right. I did something wrong. And a real man is going to step up and be like, nah, bro, you're right. I got to get better.
Right.
I got to get better.
Yeah. It's this interesting is really good though, because it's taking it back to accountability.
Yeah.
We're all talking from a stance of accountability.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do y'all think it's fair, right? It's the conversation is always like some people circumstances of life growing up may impact their sense to be accountable.
Yeah.
Right? And what I'm saying is, right, some people may not have had a lot growing up. So their excuse is, hey man, I gotta do whatever I need to do to make things work. What I'm trying to get to is, I feel like I made the example about my now wife, right? But also something else that made me be accountable in life was the passing of my mom, right? So you have to be accountable with certain things. So I guess I'm speaking to the people that, if you watching this and you thinking like, damn, like I still may not be accountable. Is sometimes in life, I feel like for people, there's gonna be life circumstances that happen that's gonna force you to be accountable. I don't wish that on anybody, right? But if you live long enough,
Right.
things gonna happen that you're gonna be like, damn, I gotta do this. So speaking for me, right? Everything y'all saying is great, but I just kind of want to say, speaking from me, from my perspective, right? Grateful I found my wife to kind of help me do that, but also the passing of my mom. But also too, it's just like I was in a place, even listening to PA today, but like it's I feel like a part of the things that happened to me was just the blessing of, or just the hand of God's, God's hand over my life.
Yeah.
Because it's like, bro, I'm not saying I'm the most deserving person to even have everything that I have, but there are things in your life that will make you think, like what Tyler was saying, what Ant is saying, what Josh is saying, to make you want to be accountable, to actually change. So I guess what can we say to people that's like, damn, like I want to be accountable, but it's just like
It's really hard.
it's really hard.
Yeah.
to
It's
do that.
difficult.
Yeah.
And,
Difficult.
And I like what you're saying because right, there are situations, right? Losing a job is will teach you to be accountable.
Yeah.
It'll humble
right.
you quick too.
Huh?
It'll humble you quick too.
Oh,
but
it'll absolutely humble you real quick. Like certain situations where you have to be forced to then be accountable for your own actions is one thing. And I think for you, maybe that made you be accountable. But for some people, they'll make excuses.
Yeah.
They'll make excuses. Oh, like I know somebody who gets like he doesn't necessarily get fired, but he leaves a job before he gets fired, and it's like all the time, and it's like, oh, they trying to get rid of me, bro. It's like every time they try to get rid of me, just trying to get. It's just like, why is everybody trying to get rid
That's
of
a
you?
good point.
Wow.
That's a good point.
Is there at what point are you then going to be accountable for your crap, your mess?
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
Yeah, like, just at what point are you going to be accountable for your own mess? Like, are you going to mature, self-correct, right? Listen to the feedback that you're getting in that write-up that you keep getting, right?
Get on that pip.
And right, yeah, exactly. That performance improvement plan.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. That's tech talk, right? At what point are you going to make the changes, and who in your life can then hold you accountable to said changes? And then you're like, man, they keep firing me, bro. I don't want to work for I don't want to work for nobody no more. I want to work for myself. Woo!
Yeah.
If you can't work for somebody and do well, you think you're going to be good by yourself?
That's a whole nother
Yeah.
This is
conversation.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think
That's a good point though.
I think at some point you're gonna have to realize that yes, it is difficult to be held accountable, but life is gonna be so much more difficult if you are not held accountable.
Yeah.
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 It is one thing. Have you ever seen My 600-Pound Life?
You talking about that? Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Do you think it is more difficult to live a fit life or more difficult to be 600 pounds?
Is that a rhetorical
That's
question?
not funny.
It is more difficult to be 600 pounds. It is more difficult
Absolutely.
to be 600 pounds than it is to wake up at 6 a.m. and go to the gym.
For sure.
So you have to look at your life as something that needs to be maintained.
Yeah.
And it takes people that hold you accountable to help maintain it.
Yeah.
You cannot maintain your life on your own. Have you ever tried to, nobody has, but have you ever thought of moving into a home that's been abandoned for
No, you do that, Tyler.
decades? I've not thought of that. Have you ever thought about moving into a home that's been abandoned since the 80s?
Never.
And it's got black mold everywhere, and it's got cobwebs, and it's got deterioration. It has a terrible foundation. It's not livable.
Yeah.
That is the reflection of someone who doesn't live accountable.
Yeah.
If you try to move into that house, you can't let people into that house.
Right.
And if you don't allow yourself to be held accountable, you can't allow people into your life.
Yeah. And if you do, they're gonna deal
And
with
if
the
you
same
do, they're going to
ramifications that you're
realize,
dealing
yeah,
with.
we can't dwell here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We cannot be around this.
Right.
It is, you're going to have to get to a place where you realize it might be difficult to have suck conversations about who you are and what you need to improve on, but it's not as difficult as living a life unaccountable.
What do you say to the person that thought it was the right people multiple times now and like, I'm done with that. Like I don't want nobody to be accountable in my life anymore. Like I'm gonna just
Because
do what I think is
they're
right.
saying those people like betrayed that person.
Yeah, those people
Yeah.
betrayed their trust, and now it's just like, damn, like the people I thought that was holding me accountable turned out not to do that. What do you say to those people that's like, damn, like I'm done with those kind of people?
I
To
definitely
actually
have
that.
I definitely have sympathy for that.
Yeah,
But the response of there are people who have betrayed me, therefore I'm not going to allow anybody to know anything about my life is a trauma response.
Yeah.
And a trauma response by definition is illogical.
Yeah. For sure.
Trauma responses by definition bring out illogical reactions.
For sure.
And so I think looking at life as this person betrayed me or these people betrayed me, now nobody is going to have access to my life is not healthy.
yeah.
I want to share
agree.
this.
I
I want to
agree.
share this thread that Tim Ross actually threaded. I can't say tweeted. It's
threaded.
threaded,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He said, "People get healed in community. People get hurt in community. People don't get healed alone. People don't get hurt alone. Therefore, choose community.
Yeah.
Even if you got hurt in one, you can get healed in one.
Right.
That's phenomenal.
Right.
The issue is, there are people who do suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are people who will hurt you.
Yeah.
Right.
You just have to not give up on finding the right people to get you where you want to go.
Yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to also share to your house analogy is, right, there could be mold, there could be all kinds of crap in the house that you didn't address, deal with, fix, etc.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to be a person who hides all that.
Right.
Right. You could paint the walls over the black mold,
Yeah.
and then someone move in. Oh, it's a nice house, and you
Right.
sick as hell.
Right.
You moved into the house, and everything's sick because you weren't honest about what's going on
Yeah.
the inside.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have to have community
Right.
in
Right.
which you can be honest about the black
Yeah.
mold.
Right.
And security, bro.
Yeah.
Security about it, because let's be honest, just around the whole topic, let's just be real. How accountability feels, it can feel like judgment.
Yeah.
You're vulnerable. Like you're vulnerable. Like
Yep.
you're in a place where people can then pick at things that you know about yourself that are not right. That are wrong.
Very uncomfortable
So
feeling.
it's uncomfortable. It can feel like judgment, especially if you're responding, like if you dealt with trauma
Right.
that correlates with what's being said about you. Your response to that can then just prevent you from being able to hear the truth in it because of how it feels. And I think a large part of society and anything, even aside from accountability, we deal a lot in how we feel and how something makes us feel versus something being healthy and actually like being valuable for your life. And so to somebody who has dealt with trauma, who's dealt with betrayal, who's dealt with, just things in life that has just beat them down to a point where accountability is just hard for them, accountability is always going to be healthy. It's never going to not be healthy.
Right.
It's never going to be unhealthy. It is always going to help your life if you choose accountability.
Right.
And that's the same thing in other areas. And that's one of the things that I keep reminding myself of. Is like listening always helped me. Wisdom always helped me. This always produced this type of fruit in my life.
Right.
And so if you look at the fruit in your life and you don't then say, maybe I should try this. Maybe I should try accountability. Maybe I should try counseling. Maybe I should try, building a community and building better relationships better than I have in the past. Maybe I should try changing these patterns. Maybe I should try hearing somebody say, this is something that is wrong with me, and not being so stuck on the fact that I've been this way and I feel like I'm fine and I just need to find somebody who affirms that. Because I'm willing to guarantee you that the people who did affirm it in the past ended up being the ones who caused the trauma in your life.
Right.
And a lot of people don't.
That's a
lot of
message.
people don't they don't sit in that truth.
Right.
They don't want to acknowledge that truth
Right.
and understand, like, dude, this is really affecting how you grow, how you move forward,
Right.
how you go to higher places.
Right.
And there's other people on the other end of the spectrum who have natural gifts who still make way for them. Say for, like, I know we were talking about, guys getting laid off of their job, but it's like they think they can work for themselves. There's some dudes who can work for themselves still because they have those natural gifts. But what they don't understand is that the things that they haven't held themselves accountable for show up in other areas. So now your customer service sucks. Now when somebody has a complaint about your product, you don't handle it correctly.
Yeah, it's their fault.
It's their fault,
Yeah,
right?
that's good.
You don't ever look at yourself in the mirror. It's going to bleed into other areas. You can't escape the darkness in your life. You can't. It's always going to be there. And people are going to see it, especially people who are actually wise and are in a healthy place in their life.
Right.
You can always tell, bro.
That's good, John.
I'm a firm believer that who you are in one place, you are everywhere.
Yeah.
How you do one thing is how you do all things.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I can't be held accountable at work, it's going to be really hard for your girl to hold you accountable.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Right? It's going to be really hard for your boys to hold you accountable, right? Like, you have to understand that a lack of accountability is going to ruin your life.
Absolutely.
That's why the Bible says pride comes before the fall.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, your pride is going to hinder any kind of growth that you want to have that's going to help you get to where you want to go.
sure.
So you do have to get to a place where you understand you need to want this.
Right.
100%.
You need to want being held accountable.
Yeah.
And going off of one of the things you just said, which was being around the wrong people that don't really do anything about it, it's like, this is my house analogy was not to say that if you've been someone who hasn't been held accountable for X amount of years or for a certain period of time, that you're a lost cause.
No.
You could be around people that are the wrong people, and all they do is just speak more life into the dysfunction that you are.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, this is black mold.
Yeah, I
oh
got black mold
like,
too. Hey,
this
nothing.
foundation
Yeah.
sucks. Really, what you need is a Chip and Joanne game.
Yeah.
Lord.
Really, what you need is someone to look at the mess that you're in, but have vision
Right.
to
Oh,
see
wow.
who you can be. Like, yeah, this
Hallelujah.
house doesn't look good here, and it's
Clip
got some
that.
black mold. But you know what I see? You know what I see? I see a new wall. I see a fresh foundation. I see paint here. I see lighting here. To see who you can be.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's not to say that you're a lost cause, but it is to say that at some point you need to want it.
For sure.
You need to want to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
It sucks to have your foundation ripped up from under you.
Yeah.
It sucks to have some walls knocked down.
Yeah.
It sucks to replace a lot of things
Yeah.
that you don't want to work. It sucks.
Yeah.
But you know what sucks even more? What sucks
Living
is
in
to
it.
be living a life where you've never been held accountable, because your life is going to show
Yeah.
if you've been held accountable or
Yeah.
not. Your life is going to be a reflection of if you've been held accountable or not.
Damn.
Once you get 50, 60, 70 years
Yep.
old,
Shit,
and
get
you
30.
yeah, once you get 30, 40,
Yeah,
and you've never
stop
been held
playing.
accountable, but you look at somebody who has
Shoot.
been held accountable,
It's gonna be a vast
oh
difference.
my God, you're going to have so much regret.
Because
you're
you're
going to have
just-
so much regret.
You're just dying slowly, bro.
You're gonna realize, oh, I would have rather had those conversations when I was
Yeah,
18.
absolutely.
Oh, I would have rather had those conversations when I was 21. I would have rather fixed what I needed to fix.
Right.
Because the habits that you form now without accountability are going to shape the kind of person you're gonna become.
If we
Yeah.
had some OGs sitting with us on the couch right now, they're gonna be like, "I wish I had someone like this
Yeah.
when I was younger.
Yeah.
I wish I had someone tell me
They
this
didn't
when
have
I
that.
was young." They didn't have. A lot of them didn't have it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, which is a whole nother thing, which is why it's really hard for them to give it, because they never had it.
Right. Yeah.
And so
Man.
I think it is really important to understand, like, and to be accountable and to know who's coming to your house,
Right.
who's visiting your house, who's designing your house,
Yeah.
who's sitting on your couch, who's the people that take up space in your life. Are they able to call out what you need to fix and
Yeah.
change, and can you receive it?
Right. Right. That's
Yeah.
the goal.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
And Tyler, and y'all, I mean, the reason I was asking those questions, right, is because I want I was the person that had trust issue trauma,
Yeah.
of that, right? So it's just kind of wanted to paint the picture so everybody can see
Yeah.
that. But once I was held accountable in life, I mean, the 360 that kind of changed of first and foremost of me wanting to be successful in a career, of me wanting to be a successful husband. Of me wanting to now be a successful father. I think one of the keys in my life now is I'm so receptive to coaching, and
Yeah.
and it's a direct correlation, I believe, to being accountable.
Yeah.
And to your point, it spills over not only from work, hearing me have conversations in my one-on-one with my managers, but also hearing me talking to my wife, and then hearing us have a conversation. I'm like, okay, so how can I be better in this situation?
Yeah.
Like me and my wife had a long conversation the other day, and with my mother-in-law, but it's just like, no, like this is what I see. And they was just talking to me, and I could have took that as like, damn, like y'all like ripping into me right now.
Yeah.
Right? I could take that and just be like, yo, pause, man. Y'all gotta relax, yo.
Tyler definitely looked at me. He was like, "Hold on a minute." Okay,
but,
go ahead.
Nah,
Yeah.
but it's just like they was like having like a long conversation
Yeah.
about Michael. Like, I feel like you should do XYZ. I feel like you can do this. These are some of the things you're doing. I'm just like, damn. But instead, I sat back, I sat down and shut up because it's coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
Love, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let me kind of understand what you guys are saying
Yeah,
to me. Let me actually digest that.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me internalize it. And I'll take what I need to take from that to make me a better person.
Yeah.
So like I kind of just wanted to paint the picture for like the audience, right? I don't want y'all to think, oh man, these guys are bro, we live life just like everybody else.
Yeah,
man.
You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
live life like everybody else. We go through
Yeah.
our highs and lows, dark times and dark places, but the value of whenever you're going through those valleys, You got brothers that
Right.
can be
Right.
accountable
Right.
for you, even when you
Yeah.
can't be accountable for your damn self
Right.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
and
think-
it's honestly, yeah, I'm gonna say this. So look, it's like it is advantageous for the life of the circle of the group for you to grow, for you to listen, for you to be in those moments and to understand, look, I need to grow so that I can then hold you accountable. Because if I stay in the same place, ain't nothing I can really say to you.
Nothing.
I can't really hold you accountable if I'm struggling in this area and I refuse to listen. I can't teach you something that I'm not willing to do myself.
Yep.
Right.
And so for the healthiness of the whole community of the group, it is becoming a me to grow for not only myself but for us. Like
Yeah.
I care enough about what we got going on and where
Yeah.
we're trying to go as a collective, as a
Right.
group of men, and take that so serious that it's like I'm not willing to stay stagnant. I'm not willing to stay the same
Yeah.
person that I am today, especially if you call something out that you know needs to change
Right.
and that I can acknowledge it needs to change, whether it makes me feel bad or not.
Right.
I'm willing to grow in this area because if I grow, then we get to a level where I can say something to you where it will help you grow, and then we
Right.
just continue on
Back
a
and
level
forth.
of just
Yeah.
ascension, continuous ascension. So
And a
yeah.
rotten apple makes other apples around it rotten.
Absolutely.
Oh God,
And so you have to remove the rotten apple if it's, but
that's true.
it's true. Going off of what you were saying for the audience, because I know you were saying when you were being held accountable and when you were being corrected, you had to just like sit there and digest what was being said to
Yeah,
you.
for sure.
I think one of the things that needs to be made clear to the audience as well for people who are wanting to be held accountable that haven't necessarily been held accountable is that when you are held accountable, it almost is never delivered to you in the way you prefer.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Never.
Tyler, thank
Almost
you, bro.
every single time you are held accountable, it is not going to be delivered to you in the way you want it to.
Ever.
Yeah.
And so you need to have the maturity in order to hear what's being said and understand the truth in what's being
Right.
said and not only solely focus on how it's being said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maturity is, okay, what in what they just said is true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like you might have got cussed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might have got talked to in a way that you're not comfortable getting talked to. You might have gotten chewed out.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to have the maturity to actually sit down and just be like, wow, is what they said true?
Right.
Yeah.
What about what they just said is true about me?
Yeah.
That's what maturity is.
Yeah.
Because to be quite honest, almost every single time you're held accountable,
Yep.
it's not going to be delivered to you how you
Nope.
want it to.
No.
And your experiences shape how you interpret what they're saying a lot of times.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many routes. That's why I love these conversations because
Yeah.
there's so many ways you can go with these conversations.
Yeah.
But in terms of being able to handle hard truths and the way, and no matter how it's said, the tone, I think that is extremely important. I do think as I've gotten older, I have been more mindful about how I say hard truths.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I do think it's important to understand, right? Like, you don't want to trigger somebody if you want them to hear
Right.
Correct.
what you're saying.
Right.
That is fair, but not you still in a situation where the person doesn't necessarily care about your triggers or know your triggers. You still should be able to hear truth.
Right.
Yeah.
You still should be able to make adjustments.
Right.
Whether or not you want to be around said person anymore
Right.
is completely up to you.
Right.
But you should still take that information, right? It's like
Right.
being fired. It's like they don't have to fire you nicely.
Yeah.
But they're gonna tell you
They're
why
gonna
they
try
let you
to.
go.
They're gonna try to.
They
Yeah.
might. Yeah, exactly. Because some of them be like so passive aggressive and it's like nice, nasty, right? But I think at the same time, you should be able to still learn and make the adjustments and change. So I think
Yeah,
it's really important. But the other part of the conversation that you guys were kind of bringing back up is this idea of like career and vision for your life.
Right.
And I think it's really important for you to want accountability to have a vision for your life.
That's
Right.
it.
Right.
That's
If
it.
you don't have a vision for your life, you're not going to see the importance of accountability. You're
Right.
not going to see the value in real accountability because it's like, I don't really know where I want to do,
Yeah.
where I want to go.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think we even as a brotherhood have vision for this,
Right.
what this looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also know where each and every one of us want to be as far as our career, what we want to do. And we can hold each other accountable to that.
Yeah.
So you can't go where you want to go and do what you want to do dealing with this still.
Yeah.
Being lazy, not showing up on time.
Yeah.
So the important thing, because I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't show up on time. But there's a lot that you are going to need to change if you want to get where you want to go. That's for all of us.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think all of us having an understanding of the vision we all have for our lives really is what fuels us even saying like, is it worth it to have this conversation with Josh?
Yeah.
If you don't know what you want to do with your life, and if you don't really care about getting fired from this job, I don't really care about, or you don't really care about that woman you're with, or you don't really care about being married one day or having kids one day, I don't even know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It ain't really nothing.
There's nothing to say.
Yeah, like that, and not trying to be,
Right.
Yeah, like what are you supposed to say?
Yeah,
And I
it would be
think-
such a waste.
I think, bro, even speaking from experience, when I was like 18 years old, bro, it's like, of course, I didn't necessarily fully know what I wanted to do with my life. What I did know, though, is that I want to continuously work towards being the best version of myself. And a lot of people need to hear that. You might be young, you might
good.
be
It's
at
very
an
good.
age where like you feel like you might have wasted a lot of time. But if you desire being the best version of yourself, it has to come with accountability.
Right.
Accountability is a byproduct of it. You can't leave accountability to the side and think you're going to be the best version of yourself that you can be and go to the heights that you really want to go to. And so for me, even while I was figuring it out, I knew I wanted to grow. I knew I didn't want to stay the same. And I knew that if I did stay the same, I'm going to end up being in the same place. And even when I do figure out where I want to go, I'm still going to have these bad habits. I'm still going to have these things that are bogging me down, these weights that are bogging me down. That's not going to help me get to where I'm going in the best way and take the best route.
But I think what's important, the context is important though, Josh, right? Because the standard that you were trying to then live by is you were mentoring teenagers.
I was.
You were mentoring teenagers, and you were mentoring them in a Christian context, right? And so you wanted to live in a way that wasn't contradictory to what you were saying to them, right? And so that was a vision, that was a standard.
That is.
Being good for like being the best version of yourself could be so vague.
It is vague.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
It is vague.
extremely vague. It's
Yeah.
like, what does that mean? I can still be a womanizer and be. Some people think that and can still be the best version
They
of
don't
themselves.
see that as an
I'm
issue.
making money. Okay, well, what does making money mean? How much money is making money? Some people feel like making 50 grand is making money.
Yeah.
That's what most money they've seen. Or there's 60 grand. Oh, that's just not shade for you making 50 or 60 grand. Shout out to you. That's amazing. I'm saying people's standards are different.
Right.
What's the vision you have for your life? And how can we hold you accountable for that?
Facts.
It doesn't mean you have it all together. It just means who do you want to be right now?
Yeah.
Who do you want to grow to be?
Yeah.
And how do we get you there?
That's it.
Right.
That's it. I agree.
I just think it's really important for men, and I think it kind of goes into like this whole manhood conversation.
For sure.
We all need a vision for our lives.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we should actually possibly have a conversation soon about how do you develop a vision for your life.
Yeah. That's gold. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. That's stamp.
Yeah.
Get ready for that episode.
I think when it comes to men holding each other accountable for vision, I think the hard part about that is I feel like naturally men have been living under this stigma of I don't need help. I think the hard part has been men have naturally been living under this false representation of what it means to be a man, of like I don't need to ask for help.
Right.
I don't need your help.
I got it out the mud.
I can figure it out.
It's gonna be an
I can
award for me
figure it
doing
out.
this by myself.
And culturally, it has come from men have been able to fix the sink, and men have been able to fix the wash machine, and men have been able to build houses, and men have been able to figure things out. So it's like, I can figure this out on my own.
I call somebody to fix that for sure.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, but even in those times, they have boys who knew how to do that
Yeah.
too,
Right.
and learn
Yeah.
got tips and tricks from each other, right? Like,
Right.
how do I do this? How do you do it, right? Like, let's
Yeah.
build this together. Like, this. No one is successful by themselves.
Yeah,
no
that
one.
self-made thing.
It's BS.
That whole self-made
Right.
thing is bullshit. Bullshit. Say for what it is. That self-made thing is bullshit.
It
It
is.
is, bro.
Yeah.
It is. And nobody cares, fam. Nobody
Yeah.
cares if you
Yeah.
did it by yourself.
And if you say that, we all think you're lying.
Right.
You know what? That's actually not true because some people really have bought into it.
Damn.
Because it's easy to. It's one. It feels better to say I did it myself.
Right.
It fuels your pride. It fuels your ego to
Yeah.
be like, yeah, I got it out the mud. I did it myself. I made it out, kind of thing. But the truth of the matter is, someone gave you an opportunity.
Right.
Someone believed in you. Someone opened up the door for you. Someone took you under their wing.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't get it out the mud. You made. Well, let me give you. You made good decisions.
Yeah.
And you listened to the wisdom someone gave
Yeah,
you.
for sure.
But do not discount the wisdom that they gave you.
Yeah.
They helped you get there.
Yeah.
You watched somebody do this. You was whether you were watching them on YouTube, whatever the case is, somebody helped you get there.
Right.
And I think it's really important that you have people in your life that can hold you accountable and help you get you to where you want to go. That's what this whole podcast is about.
That's a fact.
Yes.
That's a fact.
Yes.
But I think along with this peer accountability, you have to make the decision for yourself.
That's it.
To be accountable.
Yeah, no one's
That's
gonna
it.
want it. No one can want it more than you.
Yeah.
And no one wants to
No
say
one
this,
can want it more than you.
and no one wants to say the same thing over and over again.
Over and over. No.
Right? If I've given you wisdom once,
Yeah.
if I've given you wisdom twice on the same thing,
Yeah.
the third time you just need to kind of self-correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone who is gonna give you the same advice over and over and over again is also crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Or just don't.
Right.
They don't care about their own time.
Yeah,
right. And if
exactly.
anybody who's doing anything with their life cares about their time,
Right.
and so you just kind of get
Yeah.
And I even if like it's like, bro, like I did hear the wisdom, and like, I hear you, right? I hear you through the camera, right? I heard the wisdom, bro. It's just really hard. Then have to do that. To have the conversation with that person who gave you the wisdom, and be like, bro, I'm trying to do this. It's just difficult.
Yeah.
So tell me ways that it's that make it easier, or
Yeah.
like different ways I can do. Right? Have that conversation, but
Yeah.
don't come to me with the same thing over and over again,
Yeah.
having not done what I told you to do the last time.
Yeah.
No, for sure. For
You
sure.
passionate, ain't you?
Yeah, bro, I'm sick of that.
For sure.
Bro, you get to a place, and this is all of us are in dad season or
Yeah,
getting ready
right.
for dad season
Yeah.
at this point, and you're married with a child. You kind of get tired of like you just don't want to waste your time.
I got no
Right.
time for that.
I have zero time with
Absolutely.
BS. I don't care. You just stop caring about it.
Right.
About telling somebody the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Right. And so that's why it's really important for there to be a culture of progression within
Right.
your circle.
For sure.
Right. And I think that you have to get to a place where you realize there is more freedom in accountability.
My God.
Because there is freedom in obedience.
Yes.
Manny Arango said it best when
Yeah.
he said a train is the most free
On the track.
when it's on the tracks.
That's right.
Wow.
There is
Oh, that's a
freedom in accountability
That's
because
it.
there is freedom in obedience.
Yeah.
A disobedient life is a life in shambles.
It's a train
Yeah.
wreck.
Yes. A disobedient life is a life where
Yeah.
you actually can't get yourself together because now
Right.
you're an addict.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You never obeyed. You never listened. So now you're lost. But there's this guise of like doing what I want to do
Yeah.
is freedom.
Yeah.
And that is not the case. It's never been the case.
And I'm willing to bet that most of the time, you know that you might see trouble around the corner. Like most of the time, subconsciously, like something might catch up to me. I know I'm doing this and I got away with this, or I'm continuing to do this thing and it's not working out for me, but it's gonna catch up to you at some point, and you live with that weight. So maybe you do something to suppress that feeling, but a lot of times, when you ain't on the right track.
Nah, for
Right.
sure.
Ooh, and then you lie to yourself to live with the
Yeah,
mess.
exactly.
Right,
That's the one.
You'll lie to yourself
Yeah.
because you have to live with the crap you made, and so
Yeah.
you'll blame it on everybody
Ain't
else.
nobody was there for
Nobody
me.
was there for me.
Yeah.
I was dealing with this at the time.
That's crazy.
There's all this stuff that's going on that that happened in your life that contributed to where you are today. And the truth of the matter is, it's just you didn't listen.
That's facts.
It's just you didn't make the decision. You didn't listen to the wisdom that was given to you.
Yeah.
Right? And you decided that the people who were trying to tell you the truth and guide you were trying to control you.
Right.
And when you decide that the people who love you are trying to control you, then you isolate yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And you end up off the rails in a train wreck and making excuses as to why you crashed.
Right. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Family, be accountable.
Please.
Brothers,
Please.
be accountable. Guys, this was a phenomenal conversation.
Yeah, it was, bro.
I loved
loved
it.
it.
Yeah.
Loved every second.
Phenomenal conversation. Family, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, comment, all the things. Follow us on Join the Speakeasy on Instagram, Join the Speakeasy on TikTok.
Yep.
Welcome to the family. We're glad if you're a new viewer, welcome to the couch,
Welcome.
man.
Join us.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Welcome.
squad,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Listen, man, we love y'all. We love y'all. We love y'all. See y'all next week. Peace out.
Facts. All right, peace.
Marcel, you-